Hey, what's up guys? Jakey here. Today we're going to be checking out the EPOMAKER Magcore65 Lite as well as the EPOMAKER G84HE. Both of these keyboards are analog customizable actuation keyboards with rapid trigger support, but the difference here is that the Magcore65 Lite uses inductive switches, whereas the G84HE uses Hall effect switches. They are both very similar in terms of the technology, but if you want to know the difference between an inductive switch and a Hall effect switch, I'll leave a great video in the description below that you can check out that explains the differences very well. But honestly, in terms of raw performance, they're both very similar, both supporting customizable actuation points as well as rapid trigger. And they both support true 8000 Hz polling rate as well, so you are getting the least amount of input lag for both of these keyboards. One of the other differences between these boards is going to be the layout. The G84 is an 80%, so you're going to be getting the additional function layer as well as some extra keys on the side here as well, like your print screen and your pause. In terms of pricing, the Magcore65 Lite comes in at $80 USD. There is only one colorway, that being the black colorway, and it comes with that EPOMAKER core switch, which is inductive. The G84HE comes in at $85 USD, and it has two different colorways, that being either white blue or just white. The white blue colorway comes with the Dusk Rise magnetic switches, and the white comes with the Creamy Jade magnetic switches. So yeah, really not too much difference in terms of the price here, just a $5 difference. So we're going to start with the Magcore65 Lite here. This is the 65%, so you're not going to be getting a function row, but you will be getting dedicated arrow keys as well as these three keys here as well. So not only is this 8000 Hz polling rate and analog switches, but you also get tri-mode connectivity, so you have Bluetooth as well as a 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection, which is great if you want to use this for productivity. Obviously, if you're using this keyboard wirelessly, it's only going to be 1000 Hz polling rate through the 2.4 gigahertz and 125 Hz polling rate through Bluetooth. So if you are using this for primarily gaming, you do want to make sure you're using it wired. So inside of the Magcore65 Lite here, you do get a 4000 milliamp hour battery. In the box here, you do get a quick start guide. Under that, you get the keyboard itself. Pretty basic packaging here. This is what the keyboard itself looks like. We'll get more into that in a second. In the box, you also get some extra keycaps as well, if you don't like these transparent ones that come stock on the keyboard. The keycaps here are double shot PBT, and they are a cherry profile. You also get 3 extra switches as well in case a switch on the board goes faulty. You have replacements here, which is nice to see. And then of course you also get a USB-C to USB-A cable, which is braided. And finally in the box we also get a keycap and switch puller 2-in-1, which is pretty standard these days. Okay, so here is the Magcore65 Lite. The build here is a plastic chassis. It is quite light. Obviously, for the price point, I'm not expecting an aluminum chassis or anything like that. It does feel pretty solid in the hand though, and I do think this is a very clean aesthetic. It is very minimalistic, which I like a lot. On the top right here, you also get a volume knob, tensioned pretty well. You can click down as well, and it's pretty tactile. This is a metal volume knob here. Flipping it over on the bottom here, you do have 4 rubber feet. You also have kick-out feet here so that you can adjust the angle. 2 different angles here you can do depending on what typing angle you like. On the top of the board, USB-C port is right in the center. You also have a switch here to switch between the different connection modes, whether you're doing 2.4 wireless, Bluetooth, or cabled. And then you also have a nice little slot here to store the 2.4 gigahertz wireless dongle, which is very nice. Really good for traveling, just to make sure that the dongle doesn't get lost. Inside of the board itself, you do have a 4-layer cushion gasket mount, and the Magcore65 Lite here comes with an FR4 plate as well. So let's get this plugged in. We can do a quick sound test of the board, and then we can go over the software. Alright guys, here is the Magcore65 Lite all plugged in. As you can see, that is the default RGB. It actually is quite bright, and also very even lighting as well, which is nice if you are a fan of RGB. So really quick, let's do a sound test of this board. As mentioned, the Magcore65 Lite ships with EPOMAKER's inductive core switches. If you're curious, these are the specs of the switch on the screen right now. Alright guys, that is how the Magcore65 Lite sounds. Not a bad sounding board at all. Really no scratchiness on the switches here, and it does seem like they do come factory lubed. This is going to be the web-based software here. Honestly, nowadays, if a company doesn't have web-based software, that's honestly surprising to me, because that's just the way the market is shifting now. A lot of companies are doing web-based software, which of course is really good. That just means you don't have to install extra stuff onto your computer, which is always nice. So getting into it here, on the first tab is going to be your basic remapping tab. You can remap all of the keys on the board. You can also do macros here as well. Pretty basic stuff. Moving on to the second tab is going to be your RGB effects. A ton of different effects that you can choose from here. As you can see, there's a lot of different effects. You also have reactive effects like this ripple, as you can see, very cool. You can also just turn it off completely, which is what I prefer. And then moving on to the third tab, the most important is going to be where you set up your actuation points as well as your rapid trigger. Let's see how easy this is. Selecting all the keys, you can change it here. You can also use the plus and the minus. So I'm just going to do every key on 2. You can also do WASD only. That's nice that they give that to you so you can just click it instead of manually doing it. And then for WASD, I like to do 1 millimeter, and then you can fine tune it with these, which is nice. For rapid trigger, we are going to turn this on for every key, and then I'm going to set this to the lowest. Actually, I'm going to do 0.1. It goes all the way down to 0.01, which is pretty crazy. That's probably a little bit too sensitive for what we want, so I'm going to do 0.1 instead. And as you can see, it shows up here on the top. You can see your actuation point for every switch, and you can also see what you have the rapid trigger set to at a glance. So that's very convenient. And then you can also do a switch calibration here if you are changing out the switches on the board. But yeah, that's pretty straightforward. On the advanced key, we can also turn on SOCD, which I do use. There we go. SOCD is now turned on. We want it on last input priority. You also have DKS, mod tap as well. All of that is supported, which is great. And then in the last tab here, you can disable Windows key, all of these different functions. You can reset it to default, and then you can change either light mode, dark mode, as well as your language, and a software update here as well. All right, and really quick, we do need to test out if rapid trigger and everything is working correctly in game, and just take a look at the performance here. And it feels very smooth. Exactly what you would expect out of a rapid trigger keyboard, just on 1 millimeter. Even feathering my key here, as you can see, will activate my movement. SOCD works flawlessly as well. I can hold down A, start holding down D, and it will override that movement. Same thing vice versa. So really no difference here in terms of performance to my Wooting keyboard that I can feel. These days, analog technology across keyboards is implemented very well. So this keyboard performs exactly as you'd expect from a modern analog setup. All right, guys, now let's check out the G84HE. This is going to be a different form factor, as well as the fact that the G84HE uses Hall effect switches, customizable actuations, rapid trigger, and SOCD support for just $5 more. This keyboard also has tri-mode connectivity, so you do have Bluetooth support as well as that 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection. As you can see, it's already on. Inside of here, you do get a bigger battery than the Magcore65 Lite. You are getting an 8,000 milliamp hour battery. The case material here is still plastic. You do get a PC plate instead of an FR4 plate in this one. And you're also getting different switches as well. In this one specifically, I have the EPOMAKER Dusk Rise magnetic switches, and these are the specs of these switches on the screen. Inside the box, you still get that switch and keycap puller 2-in-1, 2 extra switches instead of 3. You're only getting 2 on the G84, and again, another USB-C to USB-A braided cable. And of course, a quick start guide as well. Okay, so this is what the board looks like right here. Again, shine through PBT keycaps with that cherry profile. And this is the white-blue keycaps, so you kind of have a little gradient here, which looks pretty nice. On the bottom of the board, very similar, you do have, again, those 4 rubber feet, as well as the 2 adjustable kickout stands here, depending on what typing angle you like. And then on the top, very similar as well. USB port is right in the middle with a little switch to switch between the different connection modes. But on this one, you do have one for Mac and Windows, another switch here, so that you can toggle that on the fly. So the G84 also comes with a spot to store the wireless receiver, although it's not in the same spot as the Magcore65 Lite. It's actually on the bottom here underneath this flip out foot. If you flip it out all the way, you can see that there's a little compartment under it where you can store your 2.4 gigahertz dongle. So this is very clever. Love to see that. The fact that you can store this dongle on both of these keyboards is very convenient. That means you can take it with you anywhere traveling and you don't have to worry about losing this dongle. So that makes it very, very convenient for productivity. All right, so let's get this board plugged in. As you can see, there's the default RGB. You also have a little LED strip under this EPOMAKER logo here as well, which is pretty nice. That just adds to the aesthetic there. Again, in this board, you do have plate-mounted stabilizers as well as a gasket mount and a healthy amount of sound dampening as well. As you can see, this will help enhance the acoustics and typing experience of the board. So before we get into the software, let's again do another typing test so that you guys can get an idea of how the G84HE sounds. Alright guys, and that was the sound test of the G84HE. Pretty nice sounding board. It does sound a bit springier and tighter than the Magcore65 Lite. That's probably due to the different plate material and the fact that it has Hall effect switches, which makes it sound a little bit different than the inductive switches on the Magcore65 Lite. But yeah, the switches here aren't scratchy at all. They do seem like they come factory lubed pretty well, so they do feel very smooth throughout the entire actuation. Alright, so unfortunately for the G84, there is no web-based driver support. So you do have to install the software for this one. I don't know whether or not they're going to be supporting it in the future. Hopefully they do. But as of right now, you do have to install their driver. Okay, so for the software, it's pretty straightforward. It's very similar actually to the web-based software. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly here. On the first tab, you can remap all of your keys. You can also change your macro settings as well here. On the second tab, this is where you're going to be changing your actuation point as well as rapid trigger settings. I already set up everything the exact same as I did on the other keyboard, and it was pretty straightforward. You can have a visualization here as well, so you can see at a glance what all of your keys are set to. You can change your different switch types. If you decide to do a switch swap, you can change that setting here so that it calibrates properly. You also have a visualization here as well, so you can see how far you're actually pressing the key in real time. And then obviously you have your dynamic keystroke, your mod tap, stuff like that. Snap key, which is SOCD. And then in the other settings, you can just change your polling rate as well as your sleep time. And then you can change your function layer settings as well as edit your macros here. Bunch of different RGB settings as well, just like on the other keyboard. So yeah, very nice. Hopefully they can add this board to the web-based software so that you don't have to install anything, but otherwise it's pretty straightforward. All right, now testing out the actual board in-game, pretty much the exact same experience here. Actuation point works as intended. Feathering my movement key works exactly as it did on the other board, and my wooting feels exactly the same. And letting go of my movement key pretty much instantaneously stops my character as soon as my finger is lifted up. And SOCD works as well. You can see I hold down A, press D, and my character moves the other way. Same thing vice versa. So SOCD works pretty flawlessly. And yeah, really no complaints here in terms of the performance. Pretty much feels exactly how you would expect a Hall effect keyboard to feel. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. That was my look at the EPOMAKER Magcore65 Lite as well as the G84HE. Both of these boards are solid analog gaming keyboards. The G84HE is built around Hall effect switches, while the Magcore65 Lite uses EPOMAKER's inductive core switches. But the real win here is the pricing. $80 and $85 for modern analog keyboards is a great value. Not only are you getting solid performance, but the build quality is good as well. Obviously, you're not getting an aluminum case, you're getting plastic, but at this price point, that's kind of what you expect, and it's really not that big of a deal. When it comes down to it, the choice on which one to get really comes down to your personal preference. So it really depends if you want a function row or not. If you don't really need a function row, you can go with the 65. Also, if you want the volume knob, obviously, then the clear choice here is to go with the 65. Both of these have tri-mode connectivity. Both of these have 8,000 Hertz polling rate, customizable actuation, and rapid trigger. So they're very, very similar. Obviously, one uses induction switches and the other Hall effect, but in terms of performance, they are very similar. And the other difference here is that the G84 does come with twice the battery size, so if you know that you're going to use this keyboard a lot wirelessly, that might be another factor to take into consideration, is that the G84 has twice the battery size, so you're probably going to get quite a bit more battery life out of that. But yeah, both of these boards are super solid, and you are getting quite a bit, especially for the price point. So if you are looking for an analog keyboard, whether that's induction or Hall effect, both of these are really solid choices. If you are interested, I will leave a link to both of these boards in the description below. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope this video helps, and if it did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.